Have a seat on your porcelain throne. It's time to talk some shit on the Powell movement.
Welcome to the Powell movement. I'm your host, Mike Powell, and I feel like I'm starting to sound like a broken record on these intros. I update you on my wife's stage 4 cancer, and then I tell you how terrible her life and ours is. And well, this week, I'm just going to say thank you to all the people who have donated to our GoFundMe or shared or thought about us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're feeling the love along with the pain and sadness that dominates life. And over the past 3 years of this, my saving grace has been skiing. I go to the mountains, I forget for a few hours, and that feels healthy to me. But I didn't have much of that this year. And while I should have just replaced skiing with therapy, there's really just no time. Life is busy, and I'll put myself back together at some other time. But now it's time for a podcast, and I'm not going to go into details about my personal life or any other shit for that matter. I'm just going to talk about my guest. And this week, my guest didn't have a clear path to pro skierdom until she and her crew, known as the Blondes, got themselves a beer sponsorship and took the internet over. From there, Janelle Yip and her crew were off to the races, not blazing a path just for women, but blazing a path for fun. And you could feel that in everything that Janelle and the Blondes have done. Before we get into the podcast and talk about Janelle's life and times, I want to thank you for listening each week. I want to ask you to tell a friend about the show. Why? Because I'm not a big-name pro athlete with a built-in audience, but I out-research all the big names and everyone else out there, and I ask better questions too. At least that's my not-so-humble opinion, and I do that to give you a better podcast than anybody else. That's why I want you to tell a friend. It really does help the show grow as well. Finally, what I really need you to do is support my incredible sponsors. They're the ones who make this show happen. They are Liquid Force, Elan Skis, Outdoor Research, Stanley, and Best Day Brewing. Now, it's time to chat with Janelle Yip. I need to start this thing out talking about parking. What has been up lately with you and parking incidents?
Well, I don't believe in parking laws. I just don't really believe that we should have parking laws, that we should get parking tickets. I think we should just kind of be able to park wherever we want. And sometimes I just do that based off my own beliefs, but society doesn't agree with me, so they give me parking tickets.
How many times have you been towed for parking wherever you like?
I think a total of twice now.
Okay, well that's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not outrageous,
Okay.
but it does happen.
All right. And we were supposed to record this podcast a couple months ago, but you ended up losing your front teeth, amongst other things. What happened?
Yeah, so that was just a fairly unfortunate accident for me, like a freak accident. We were filming for Matchstick Productions out on the glacier with our snowmobiles, and we were doing a sled retrieval just down the glacier, like super close, probably like 400 feet away, which is like nothing on the snowmobile. So I jumped on the side of my friend's tandem, and then we went down a little roll and came up like kind of suddenly to a glacier hole, but we weren't like going straight for it. We were kind of like just skirting the side of it. But I just got a little freaked out, so I just jumped off the snowmobile, like as you do on a tandem. If it's going kind of awry, you just bail off the side. And yeah, my buddy just wasn't knowing that I was going to jump off, and he turned left and throttled. And I think he caught my jump. And then I ate the running board or some part of the sled with my teeth.
Oh, that's got to be an awful thing when you realize that your teeth are broken or they're missing. But I would think after the initial shock of all of it happening and the pain of it happening, when you leave your house and you have no front teeth, do people look and react to you differently, like in a social setting?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was like shocking for like my close friends to see me like with no teeth and all that. And it definitely took me a while to like want to go out again. So I definitely like hid away for a couple weeks. But now I just don't really care, because it's like I just gotta keep living my life, toothless or not.
Do you have front teeth?
I don't know.
No way. So in Canada, they probably pay for it all, but you have to wait until they can fit you in or something?
Totally. So they actually don't pay for dental stuff in Canada.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that's not covered. But it's because there's like a lot of trauma in the gums. Like it wasn't like a chipped tooth. My two front teeth like broke out entirely. I was like holding one of them in my hands and the other two were like pushed up against the side of my gums. So there's a lot of trauma to the gums. So I had to get like an arch bar installed and I just needed some time to like heal the gums before they could do more like cosmetic fixes, which will be like implants. But actually, Wednesday I get like what they call a flipper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get some fake teeth that I can put in there temporarily. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, I think it's got to feel pretty good when you can smile and not be embarrassed to open your mouth.
I'm not embarrassed to open my mouth, but yeah, it'll be definitely nice. Less questions for sure.
There's a woman who has missing front teeth on the internet, and she makes all these incredible videos where she looks one way without her teeth, and then she pops her teeth in and she's normal. And I think she's made a whole career out of it.
No way.
Yeah. Whenever I find her again, she pops up in my feed, I will tag you in it.
Yeah, you should.
So that doesn't mess with your head, it sounds like. But the final injury stuff I'm going to ask you about are your knees. How are they?
Knock on wood. Thankfully, they've been good to me.
I only ask about that. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I only ask about that because I noticed that you have Stoko as a sponsor, and they're like a $300 stretch pant that utilizes BOA, and they support the knee. I have knee issues, and sell me on Stoko because they seem like they're the best thing that no one's talking about yet.
Yeah, I'm not like officially sponsored by them, but I have tried their product before, and they are really supportive. And I think what I really liked about it was like the compressive factor of it. So they are like a compression tight, which is really, really nice for like just keeping your knees warm and making everything feel like super intact.
Well, I think you should talk to them about their product because I feel like I saw an interview on their website or something with them that made me think that you were sponsored by them, but not a full-on sponsorship. Another sponsor that I mentioned in that sentence was BOA. You're sponsored by them. Does everything you own have a BOA dial? Like, are you allergic to laces and elastic and belts and shit like that?
Yeah, I actually got a really cool pair of skate shoes that have a BOA dial on them. And I love it. It just cuts out so much time. Yeah, you just tighten the BOA and it's great. It's also really nice on the ski boot as well. You just tighten that up and you're just dialed in and have this nice precise fit.
And what is the best use of BOA that you've seen at the BOA headquarters or somewhere else that most people would have never even thought about?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I really like it on the shoe. Yeah. I just like don't like laces and I think that yeah, the bow is much better than Velcro, so it's kind of the best solution.
All right. So BOA's a great sponsor right there. Who else pays you to ski?
The North Face, Atomic, Smith Optics, and Electrolit.
So that's a pretty solid list if you're to put stickers on your skis and you look at them. They're all solid sponsors. The living wage in BC is $25.50 or the hourly wage. Based on my internet search, it was $25.50. That means based on a 40-hour week, you would make $50,000 a year if you were just pushing paper at a desk. Do you make more than the living wage in BC as a pro skier?
You know, I worked really hard at it for a lot of years, and I'm happy to say that I can support myself off of what I make from skiing.
That is awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you.
So how long did you have to work summers? I know you were like a firefighter, which is a tough job in itself, and you did that all summer long. How many summers did you have to do while you were coexisting as a pro skier before you could quit being a firefighter?
So I did firefighting for 4 years, but I work every summer because I can't not work.
It's just more of a personal trait, but if you needed to, you could get by off of pro skiing money?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. And I usually don't talk about money or any of the stuff I talked about in the beginning, but I did this time because I wanted to switch it up. But we're not going to talk about you making money anymore. We're going to talk about your parents' money. Growing up in Calgary, was it rich, poor, or average?
Like, are you asking if my parents were rich, poor,
Yeah,
or
like
average?
if your experience growing up, like, are you driving around in Mercedes? Were you in Hondas? Or were you in beaters?
We're average.
Okay. And it's you and your brother, and I think you guys come from a ski family. Were your folks really into it? They get you into it really early?
Yeah, we were lucky enough. We got into it super early. We grew up skiing in Fernie, BC. So yeah, we started skiing when we were like 3 and 2 years old.
Does that mean you're in a car for like 8 hours a weekend?
No, it's only 3 hours from Calgary.
So 6 hours a weekend?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's a lot to me,
Yeah.
but whatever. And then how about other sports? What else did you guys do growing up other than skiing?
So my brother and I, we like grew up suburbia kids. I mean, we got to access to the mountains, which I'm super grateful for, but we didn't grow up like in a mountain town. So we were super involved in like city kid sports like hockey. And my brother played hockey. I played ringettes and box lacrosse as well.
Okay, I've heard of box lacrosse and I know what it is, but I'm not familiar with ringettes. What is that?
You should look it up, but it's basically, I think they started the sport because they didn't want girls to play hockey, so they like made up another sport. And it's very similar to hockey. It's on the ice with skates, but instead of sticks with like a curved end and like a hard puck, it's like just a stick with like a bit of metal or plastic on the end and a rubber ring. So they play it in Canada. It's like very gender specific. Only girls play it and only in Canada.
Huh.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it, but maybe one day it'll be an Olympic sport. Who knows?
Yeah.
I think the big thing that changes your childhood or a very influential part of your childhood was going to Windell's camp. And when you went, how old were you? Who was there? And what were the pros that kind of influenced you?
So I was about 13 or 14 when I first went to Windell's. And yeah, I basically just saw it in a free skier magazine and just begged my parents to let me to go. And funny enough, I went to camp that year with Maggie Boyson was one of the campers,
Okay.
and also Sophia Roushes
Okay.
was there as well. Yeah, so it's just funny to see that they're like killing it in the pro skiing. Of course, Maggie, she was like a child prodigy then, and so it's funny that we all went to the same camp. But yeah, the coaches at the time were Megan Gunning and Ashley Battersby was coaching as well. Yeah, just some real park skiing like OGs back in the day. And I think Megan Gunning told me that I had potential when I landed a 360, and then I was super hooked on skiing after that.
So that fires you up. Is it when you get back to Calgary that you have like the Canada Olympic Park right near you and you join the freestyle team there? Is Windell's kind of made that happen?
Exactly, yeah. Windell's definitely lit the fire. It's such an amazing place. Like, I'm so happy I got the opportunity to go there. It's just like a Disneyland for adventure sports kids. You know, they've got the huge skate bowl and pump track and just all these hilarious games. And yeah, it's just a great time.
So the first big thing that changes your life is Windell's camp.
Yeah.
And then you get to the freestyle team. And then, like in high school and everything, is it every day after school you're going to the park because it's right near your house and you're able to do that?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Just grab like a Subway sandwich and like then go straight to COP and ski until they shut the lights off pretty much like 9 p.m. and not finish my homework. And yeah.
And what did you look like back then? Are you in tall tees and like triple XL everything that kind of seemed like the style at the time? Or what did you look like?
Yeah, totally. I don't even know, just like whatever coat that like I could convince my parents to buy me at Sport Check. And then I think I got my hands on like a gibberish hoodie.
Okay.
Like a big one and at Windell. So I was like really fired up on that thing.
And is the goal with your skiing at that point like, hey, I'm going to learn all these tricks. I'm going to go to the US Open and all these different contests, and then I'm eventually going to make the X Games? Or was it just have fun in that world?
Yeah, it's trying it out. Like, I don't know what I was too motivated for at the time. I was just a teenager. I think I was thinking it would be really cool to go to X Games, but then I never really did too well in the park scene that it was actually like a reasonable goal. So I kind of just fell out of it around high school.
Was there any good results at all in contests for you? Or is it just one of those things where you realize, no, that's not for me?
I mean, I just ended up competing at like the provincial level. You know, I might have got some third place podiums, might have got second, but I was never like getting first place and like moving up in the parks world. So I was just kind of at this recreational level when I competed slopestyle.
So by your senior year of high school, it didn't sound like you had plans to go to college right away. It was like you're going to do a year and go travel around and ski a shit ton. But you're probably not thinking about being a pro skier at that point if you're not doing well in contests and you really haven't learned the backcountry or anything like that yet. So was it just like, hey, I'm going to do a ski bum year and like a gap year and then figure out life?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm either going to apply to school I did one gap year, and then after that gap year, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna apply to school, or I'm gonna do 1 year in Revelstoke and then apply to school." And then that didn't happen, and I ended up in Revelstoke for about 7 years.
Well, with that gap year, do you just get in your car and is it a solo mission where you're going town to town, living in your car and being a total dirtbag, or what did that look like?
Yeah, I was doing the Powder Highway thing, like staying in Nelson and kicking horse. It was pretty close to Calgary and Revelstoke. And then I also went backpacking as well in South America for a couple months too. So a bit of skiing and then a bit of traveling as well.
And then that second year, you end up in Revelstoke. You said you were going to think about applying to school the next year, but you end up staying for 7. Was there ever, like in the beginning, a thought of like, hey, I'm just going to ski every day and see if I can make it as a pro skier?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I still had like the whispers of a dream from my park skiing days of like, wow, it would be really cool to be a pro skier. But then that dream kind of fell out for the park world. And then when I went to Revelstoke, I was like, oh, but maybe if I, get into the big mountain backcountry side of skiing, maybe there's a place for me there in this ski world. So it's kind of like in the back of my mind as an idea.
It's just crazy, though, that you have no experience in the backcountry. You're definitely not going to be a pro skier in the contest world, but you still have that idea in your head of like, I can do this. I mean, obviously it worked out for you, so you've never really wavered from that, I would think. When you think back to it when you were 18, 19 years old, it's almost like unrealistic to think that you could be a pro skier at that point.
Yeah, I guess so when you put it like that. My ambitions was like looking at the big mountain field. I was kind of like, oh, like I don't see like a ton of women like doing tricks off of natural features.
Sure.
And I've learned like a few tricks in my park skiing days, and I was on some like free ride teams, and I was like getting into the backcountry at that time. I was like 18 or 19 when I was like kind of stepping out ski touring for the first time. So it was like free riding, and yeah, I was kind of like, oh, this would be, yeah, a great dream.
It's time for my first sponsor break, and I'm going to start out with Liquid Force. And not only are they back supporting the podcast, but this summer, they're bringing back the most important party and event in wakeboarding. That's right, Revelstoke is back, and the contest features the best riders in the world, and the event is so much more than that. But that's not all Liquid Force is up to this summer. You know what's more fun than watching the pros ride? Riding with them. And you can ride with the Liquid Force pros like Daniel Grant, Claudia Pagini, and Gunther Oka at a local lake or cable park near you at their Ride with the Pro Tour. And while Liquid Force is doing all these great things to build community on the water, they're also on the forefront of product innovation. And if you're a foil frother, you're going to want to check out the new FuseLock foil system. Wake surfers are going to love the all-new Ace and Synchro offerings. And the 2025 line features fresh boards, rad graphics, and more comp vest colorways than ever before. Park to boat to foil, Liquid Force has gear for every rider type, whether it's boat, cable, foil, or surf. To find out more about the events and the products, head on over to liquidforce.com. And when you see something you like, put it in your cart, and when you check out, enter the code POWEL15, that's all caps with no spaces, and you will save 15% off your order. Liquid Force, feel the pull. Next up, it's Elan Skis. And Elan doesn't need to support this podcast in the summertime. I've said that every summer. But they do it because they understand the importance of cultivating the stories that make the snow industry what it is. But if you haven't noticed, while they've always been big in Europe, Elan has built a growing cult following here in the States. It all started with the still thriving ripstick revolution that made skiing easier and more fun for anyone that tried them. That same idea, easier and more fun, is what they delivered to their Playmaker series of twin tips. How does Elan deliver a better ski experience? Well, it's all about using the best materials known to man. And that's no joke. This is the same Elan that's known for building award-winning luxury yachts. So they never cut corners. And the fit and finish is better than anything else on the ski wall. Seriously, if you pick one up and you look at the edges and you see those seams of glue on all the different skis, look at Elan's and you're going to see a seamless pairing because they do take that additional time to pay that attention to detail. And it's awesome. And it makes everyone feel like they're making pro-level turns. And that's what skiing is all about, that feeling. So remember, before you buy your next pair of skis, demo a pair of Elan's, or just head on over to elanskis.com, pick a pair, and elevate your skiing experience. My final sponsor this round is Best Day Brewing. And while I love the taste of a good beer, I don't always need the alcohol. I mean, my life revolves around driving my kid places, running errands, interviewing people, managing my family, and all of these things I do better when I don't have a head full of alcohol. That's where Best Day comes in. These days, if I'm not partying, I'm still having beers, and those beers are from the award-winning Best Day Brewery. And there are a lot of NA beers out there right now, but none taste as good as Best Day. I love the hazy IPA, the Kolsch that you can get on all Alaska airline flights, and everyone seems to like the Electro Lime Cerveza. I could go on and on as they have so many flavors, and I love them all. The beauty of Best Day is that they average about 60 calories and they won't get you in trouble. And pro tip, if you're partying, try to mix in a Best Day for every alcoholic beverage you have, and it will extend your night. It does it for me, and it keeps me from doing anything stupid. To have your best day or night ever, head on over to bestdaybrewing.com. If you make that order over $50, we'll also throw in free shipping. Those are my sponsors. Now let's jump back into the podcast. So you're in Revelstoke. You're in a house with a bunch of different roommates, and one of your roommates is Tonje Kavivic. And you guys just meet in that house and hit it off right away and then start skiing together?
Literally, yeah. That's exactly what happens. My roommate's like, oh, we got an empty room. Like, how about this hot Norwegian girl that likes to ski? And I was like, oh, sweet. She sounds great. Like, let's get her in here. There wasn't that many prior qualifications to be our roommate at the time. So,
And then tell us the story about meeting the pink-haired boy in the park.
yeah, that was Emily Childs. People called her the little pink boy because she had short pink hair and she wore this like pink jacket, but she skied like really steezy. And everybody thought she was just like this little pink boy, so that's what they called her. But she had just finished trying like some double backflips and she skied up to me, and I was with like a mutual friend of hers at the time, and she was just like, yeah, I just tried some double backflips. And we were like, sick. And then she skied away and like greased a down flat down rail. And that was the first time I met Emily. And I was like, wow, I need to hang out with that girl more. She seems awesome.
So do you three almost connect like from there? And I would think it's a mix of skiing together every day, then going to the bar after skiing and drinking beers. And is it just like ski, party, live that life that every 21-year-old should experience if they're not Mormon and enjoy that? Is that kind of what you were doing?
100%. Yeah, it was just exactly that.
Oh, it's so fun. So you're burning the candle end to end. What are you guys doing to make money at that point? Are you have like shit jobs in town?
So that first summer, I think I had 2 or 3 jobs. I was landscaping and waiting tables in town. And I can't remember what the third job was. I had like I would pick up like any work that I could possibly get, basically, that I could fit into my schedule. So I did like the double shift, like landscape all day and then serve at night. And I do that all summer until I until I got a little smarter and I found firefighting, and I figured out I could just do one job and that it would be not as taxing.
So that's how
Yeah.
you're making ends meet. And what about creating a ski crew? Because there's always been great women who ski, but I was trying to think of it earlier, and I can't think of any women ski crews. I mean, were there any ski crews that were all women before the Blondes?
I mean, I can't really think of any either. I mean, there was like a local one in Revelstoke. It was called Pussies on Planks, I think. I saw some stickers.
Okay.
But that was, I think, more just like a group of shred ladies. I don't think they had like any major ambitions of like being professional about it.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't really think of any girl crews either. In skiing, there's definitely some in snowboarding, but
Definitely. I mean, well, I guess there was the Pretty Faces crew at one point, which was.
yeah. Right, yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yes, the Pretty Faces crew.
But other than that,
Uh,
yeah, not too many crews that are women. You guys are the most modern and influential new school kind of crews, it seems like. And for all three of you, it's like you're learning the backcountry together. I think you and Tonje share a sled. Emily gets her own sled. When you learn by tandeming on sleds that maybe aren't up to par for what you really need for what you're doing, what are the days like where everything possible goes wrong and you guys just start freaking out?
At that time, it was a lot of fun. These days, when there's like more money on the line and things are going bad, it could be like a little bit more stressful. But I think at that time, things went wrong more than they went right. So it was pretty much like status quo for it to kind of go wrong. And we would just like take it on the chin and laugh about it, cry about it, or whatever. But I just remember all those times like super fondly. And the outcome wasn't necessarily the number one goal. It was just getting out there and, yeah, experiencing it together.
And there's so many badass locals in Revelstoke that are heading out into the backcountry every day. Did anybody help you or show you the ropes, or was it all you guys learning on your own?
Oh no, we had so much help from our boyfriends at the time. And yeah, they all were really, really good at sledding. Like there was a crew of guys called the Acres. They were one of the first like ski crews that I remember hearing about, like based out of Revelstoke, and they all lived in this like barn out by the highway, and they had a skate ramp in their backyard. And so a lot of those boys that were in that crew would come out with us and help us learn how to sled. Like it definitely wasn't just us going out. And I wouldn't recommend anybody that's like a completely beginner sledder to go out with like other beginner sledders. Like it's really nice to have some.
Yeah, and you are breaking up a little bit, and it sounds like you're a little bit away from your microphone. But I don't know if you can get closer to it. Now you're gone.
Oh, hello?
Yep, you're back. I guess what I should find out at this time is there's two stories that I heard are definitely worth asking you about. And one of them is the potato story.
Oh, yeah. The potato is the snowmobile that Tonje and I shared for a couple years.
So that's the one that you guys tandem on the whole time?
Yes, and we called it the potato.
Okay. And then the second story, and I hear it could be tied into it, and I was expecting a lot better of a story from the potato story, but whatever. What is trail hoeing?
Trail hoeing was invented in Whistler, and it's basically if your sled's broken down, you just kind of sit there and hope for somebody to stop and help you or give you a ride. That was just like, a joke that we had, I don't know, 6 years ago when we were riding that sled together and it was breaking down.
So you had to trail hoe a lot just getting out?
I think just once or twice.
Okay. Well, anyway, your ski crew becomes the Blondes, and you guys have been putting edits online, and your ascent sounds like a fraternity movie. It's like the backstory is something like you want to start this elite ski crew to get free beer. Is that your idea?
Yeah, basically. We kind of all put our heads together on that one. I think the second conversation Emily and I ever had was like, let's start a ski crew and like, let's get sponsored by a beer company.
So there's always a purpose to the ski crew. It was like, you guys weren't just starting a ski crew to be the badass girls at Revelstoke. It was like, you're going to start a ski crew, and if we're going to start one, we might as well pitch it to this beer company. Did you guys realize how catchy the name The Blondes would be?
So that was the thing. We named our ski crew after the beer that we enjoyed drinking, which was the Caribou Blonde.
Yes.
Caribou Brewing is a company out of Prince George. So it's like pretty shitty beer. But yeah, we ended up being the Caribou Blondes, and then they didn't end up sending us enough beer, so we renamed ourselves to just the Blondes.
How much beer did they send you? I mean, I would think if you're going to just work on like a flow program, you get like at least 10 cases of beer. Are you even close to that?
Yeah, we got 10 cases, and then we wanted more, and they were like, no.
Well, if they send you 10 cases and then you start delivering these edits, didn't they see the I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of relationship? Or no?
I mean, yeah. You know, I wonder what they're thinking about it now, if they even know that we exist, if they know that they missed a marketing opportunity. I have no idea.
Yeah, because I mean, just using the name Blondes and creating that image, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to know it's a beer, and then they're going to figure it out. Those guys missed that window there, whatever. But I want to believe at this time that you guys are just totally partying your faces off too. And it sounds like that's the case, right?
That was the case, yeah. We needed more beer because we drank it with all of our friends, and they knew that we got free beer. So they were, of course, pillaging into the beer, and they were like, we need more beer. So, yeah.
So you guys like to party, and the biggest party event of the early 2000s, it seemed like in skiing, was the World Ski and Snowboard Festival, or still is in Whistler, and Intersections, the video event of that. It made a lot of careers in 2019. What role did Alex Armstrong, aka Army, play in that whole deal of getting you guys in there?
She just signed us up for it. She was like, I think we should do this. I just put your guys' name in. And we were kind of like, yeah, okay, sure, sounds good. And then we found out like, okay, this is like real, this is happening. Like we need to get filmer for this and we got to make this 5-minute edit in Whistler. So she just signed us up and she was kind of the ringleader for getting us into it and the ringleader for getting everybody together and pushing through a lot of the tricky moments that came with filming with that many women in the backcountry. So
Yeah,
she
I mean,
had a
it
whole lot
sounds
to
like
do
there
with
was
it.
tons of personalities. I mean, did personalities clash? Did people get frustrated? Were there fights? What happened when you had like 15 people shooting when you should have had like
Oh,
3 or 4?
yeah. Oh, I mean, we did have 3 or 4 in the start, and then I think it was my idea because I didn't really know that much about filming or this competition. I was just like, okay, well, if we know we need to get that much footage for like a 5-minute film, I suppose we should ask more girls to be involved in it. So I just thought the more people involved, the easier it would be, and the more footage you would get. So then I invited like a bunch of people to come out, pretty much everybody I knew that was a great skier. So it was a pretty epic disaster. And there was a lot of personalities, a lot of tears, some fighting, some confusion on like me, Tanya, and Emily had snowmobiles, but the rest of the girls didn't. And they thought that everybody was going to come into the backcountry with us. And there was like 5 or 6 of them. So they thought we were going to tandem 9 people out on snowmobiles. They were quite disappointed when we told them, no, we're not doing that. But yeah, it was amazingly dramatic at the time. And when I look back now, I just laugh about it. And Army and I joke a lot about re-entering intersection with all of those same people now and how funny that would be, a reunion tour.
And just to show them back to back on your own online edit would be amazing too.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
But that's the thing is Army signs you up for this thing, but without intersection, who knows where the blondes would be right now, because that's where Matchstick Productions finds out about you. And then I would think you guys collectively lose your shit when Matchstick reaches out to you through social media and says they want to film with you. Do you think it's almost a joke?
Yeah, we were fired up. We were so excited. They reached out and yeah, wanted to film with us. So that was awesome. I remember we were freaking out.
So it goes from like the bar edits that you're making to intersection to going to the biggest movie in skiing or one of the biggest movies in skiing. And do they put you in the movie right away? Or they're like, hey, we want to film with you, but we need to talk to your sponsors and get money and then get you in. How did that work?
Yeah, we weren't really made aware as per how it worked for skiers getting into the big ski movies. So they were kind of like, we want to film with you guys. And we were like, okay, awesome. And I think they were trying to get our sponsors to bite on paying for our ski segments, but I don't think they were interested in the first season because we were putting out little edits, but certainly appeared quite loose. So I think it was a bit hard for the sponsors to be like, are these girls serious? What are they up to? Like, this is crazy. Should we put money into this?
Yeah, totally. Because you were creating an image for what you were doing. I mean, the blondes are like the fun party girls of skiing who shred harder than everybody else.
Well, thank you so much for that description. But yeah, so I think as a company, though, it's like a bit risky to know whether you should be like investing money into that. So I think the first year, yeah, that MSP showed interest. We didn't actually get into an MSP film, but we filmed that whole season and, we got our bed and breakfast sponsor, Valley Retreat Revy. He paid for a filmer that year. So we put out a season edit and we circulated that online. And then the following year, our sponsors were convinced that we got a little more serious about it and they agreed to fund us for an MSP segment.
I love you guys even more. It's like you had to grow up and stop partying as much, or at least stop putting out that image too much so your sponsors would actually invest in you. But it's great that you're able to do both of that and get the money to do that. When you first get onto MSP, I would think like all you want to do is shoot, 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 but you have a limited budget. It's not like you can go out every day. Was that a hard thing to realize, is that you're not going to be on every trip and all your shots aren't MSP shots?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the first year we did film like not all season, but I think we started in like February and we would just kind of wait for the call from the producer to just be like, okay, you're going out tomorrow or like this is happening. And then we would kind of get out. But the money they did get for our segment, it wasn't a ton. So they had to kind of make it work slotting us in with Mark Abma. Yeah, first year filming it for MSP, definitely stressful and a bit frustrating for sure, of like really, really wanting to get out and film and knowing what kind of opportunity we got and just trying to get out every possible day that we could, and struggling on those days that the conditions were not very good. We were scratching for it, but we'd be out there, trying anyways. And we weren't really like let off onto like how much our sponsors like put in to film us. We just knew that, we needed to get every shred of opportunity we were given and just make the most of it.
And when you think of all of you've done with Matchstick, what's the highlight of MSP shooting?
The highlight of MSP shooting, honestly, I think like that first year we had me, Emily, Tonje, Lucy Sackbauer, and Sam Cooch out in just the Coast Mountain Range just around home. And that was just so fun. Everybody was kind of filming for MSP. I don't know if that was Sam's like breakout year, or maybe he did the year before as well, but we were all just kind of like fresh to filming, and it was just really exciting. And I just remember that being the most fun. And then, oh, you know what? I'm just remembering the sickest trip we did with Northern Escape heli skiing. And it was me, Tonje, and Mark Abma. And we met up with a ski patroller named Adrian Grabinski, and he's just this like insanely talented backcountry skier, and that just kind of does these like crazy objectives by himself.
Okay.
And we meet up with him in Shames, and then we tell him that he's coming heli skiing with us at Northern Escape, and we surprise him with this like sick heli trip with us. And he just absolutely crushed it and sent it so hard. That was a really, really fun trip.
And when you go somewhere with Abma, who's been doing it since, God, he's been a pro skier. How old were you in 2000?
So I'm 96.
Yeah, so he's been like a pro skier since you were 4 years old. So when you go out on a trip with Mark Abma, is it like a wealth of knowledge that you're getting on how to manage and run a ski career?
Honestly, no. Mark Abma's just always vibing. Like, he's just vibing. He's having the best time always, like, out of everybody. And he's not, like, pouring out knowledge by any means or telling you what you should be doing. He's just, like, having the best time ever. And I just, like, am always just taking little notes about what he's up to, because I'm like, this is awesome. He's, like, still killing it. Like, I don't know, he's, like, 40 whatever, and just, like, still in just incredible shape. So I'm like just kind of asking him about his lifestyle and like just trying to do things that he does for longevity.
He's like the most interesting man in skiing. You see his house and all the different things he builds there. It's like, it's just so insane. And then that island that he has with Turpin and all that. He's got so many cool things going on.
I know. He's got so much cool shit on. So I'm always taking notes on what he's up to, trying to emulate Mark Abma every day.
It's time for my second round of sponsors, and I'm going to start things out with Outdoor Research. I've been using OR products since I moved to Seattle almost 25 years ago because they outperform everything on the market. They build their products to perform in the wet and soggy cold weather of the Pacific Northwest. And when you live where we do, you need to have the best in class. While OR has always been known for building industry-leading gear for mountaineers, skiers, and snowboarders, they've gone all in on an award-winning bike line that FreeHub describes as Outdoor Research has once again raised the bar, offering riding gear that's not just functional but also stylish and durable. That meticulous design and thoughtful engineering of the Freewheel collection have the power to transform the mountain biking experience. So high praise, and Outdoor Research is doing a lot of things on the athlete side. While they launched with an incredible team, they had the Van Steenbergen brothers, Georgia Astley. This year, they've added Casey Brown, Carson Storch, and others. And between the athletes and the events they support, while OR might be new to the bike world, they've always lived it, and there's not many brands doing what OR is doing in the world of bike. To see the new products and what the hype is all about, head on over to outdoorresearch.com. My final sponsor is Stanley, the iconic Northwest brand that invented the category of keeping things hot and cold over 100 years ago. You remember Stanley from your grandfather's green thermos that kept his coffee hot forever when he took you out on adventures. Well, Stanley still makes that bottle and so much more. Think tumblers, water bottles, barware, camping utensils, coolers, vacuum bottles. There really is something for everyone at Stanley. And between the unique colors and the collaborations that Stanley's doing, there really is something for everyone in the Stanley line. And they're not going to gouge you with crazy prices. Stanley is the originator, and they pride themselves on providing you and me with the best products at the best value. And that value gets even better when you shop with my code. To use it, head on over to stanley1913.com, go shopping, and buy a ton of stuff because, like I said, this code is 30% off. It's the best deal that Stanley offers. And when you check out, enter the code capital P-O-W-E-L-L. That's Powell 2025. So no spaces in between that. Capital P-O-W-E-L-L 2025. That's where you get your code. Thank you very much for the support, Stanley. They make the best gear in the world. You've seen them everywhere. And if you don't have one, you definitely need one. Those are my sponsors. Now let's jump back into the podcast. Filming with MSP, one of the big things that they've always been known for, and everybody's been known for it, is their movie tours. And being that you girls like to party, what's it like that first movie tour that you're on when you can go and have an open bar tab, I would think, at most of the bars that you're going to showing the film?
Oh my God, it was awesome. It was three of us, McKenna Peterson, Lucy Sackbauer, Lucas Walks, Logan, Cole, and Sam. I think I might be forgetting some people. I think Sam O'Cone was there for a bit of it, and yeah, it was awesome. The energy on that tour was insane. I think everybody had a segment that year that they were really, really psyched on. So everybody showed up for the tour, and we did like 3 or 4 stops all together with that crew, and just had such a great time. Didn't go to bed early, went to bed at like 4 in the morning most nights. Yeah. It was so fun. And Gaffney was there too. He came on a few stops. So yeah, it was just a really special year.
Oh, that's so awesome. And then, you eventually hook up with TGR, but I don't think it's like a planned out thing. Is it one of those like fire drills where you get the call in the middle of the night, like, hey, we need you here this time, and you're like, this is the opportunity I can't miss?
Yeah, actually, that was kind of part of like my comeback from that orbital break. I was just in like a recovery mode. I had gotten back to like a really good place, and yeah, Nick McNutt just pretty much cold called me and asked me if I wanted to come to South America, to Chile with TGR, and I was like, can't say no to that. Like, let's go. And yeah, that was kind of like, cool. Welcome back to skiing after such a hardcore injury that took me out the season before. So
the season before and the hardcore injury, we're not going to get into it, but when you're doing your own project, and that's kind of when you got hurt, you're doing your own project, it's a 2-year project. But when you're a part of that, you see where all the money's spent and you know exactly how much each day costs, and time is money. Is it a much more stressful thing than just showing up for TGR or showing up for MSP?
Yeah, I think for sure. If you're got your hand in producing and you've pitched for that budget and for that film, then yeah, you definitely feel a lot more pressure. I would say I never really like to waste like any opportunity, and like try my best in like every situation where if it's like my own project or MSP, TGR, I'm always trying my hardest and my best. But yeah, definitely that first year I was feeling like, yeah, for sure, like a lot of stress and like, okay, this is like a big opportunity. Like I want to make sure it's the best.
And when you get through the 2-year project, you put out your project. I think it had like 300,000 or 400,000 views when I saw it on the North Face, whatever site last time I looked. But are your sponsors stoked with the output? I mean, are they fired up?
Yeah, they loved it. The North Face was super fired up on how it turned out. And yeah, it got a lot of views, which is awesome. It's one of their like higher viewed videos, which yeah, we're all super proud of that.
That's one that everybody should see. It was really fun to watch. And just the vibe that you 3 put out there, it's super fun. And when I look at it all, I would think a lot of your deals and everything that you do, is it still all 3 of you together? Is it a package deal? Like, are you the Pettit brothers like they were when they were younger?
Definitely at first, when we, I think, got like our first contracts, we signed it together, which is pretty hilarious. And if we went back in time, I'd probably say no to that being a thing again. I think at first, yeah, we were definitely like a package deal. But then we kind of realized that the sponsors were treating us as a single person, whereas they were getting like 3 times as much footage or 3 times as much exposure per paying for just one person. So that was kind of like the motivation to be like, oh, we should like separate ourselves a little bit more because we are 3 individuals and that's important.
I mean, it's totally important, but in the way that you three came up, the blondes was the vehicle to get you to pro skierdom. I don't know if it might be harder to make it to where you made it without having the collective of all you three. But then it becomes important of breaking apart those three to be your individual brands, to be able to get those contracts, to be able to not have to work in the summers, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that. I mean, like the recipe for us coming up into pro skierdom is like very unique and very interesting. And I think like a lot of different ingredients and temperatures were just right for, it all to be concocted in the way that it did. So super grateful for the path that it took. And yeah, it's nice reminiscing on all the crazy aspects of that.
And you say the timing was right. I mean, it really was. For a long time, it was all about the token female, and there was one girl in every movie, maybe two. Maybe it's Michelle and Ingrid or whatever it's going to be. But there was never a group of females, and there was never a spotlight put on women skiers, it didn't seem like. And you came up in a time where people want that now. Everybody realizes how badass everybody is. And it's like you came up where there wasn't like, oh, this guy is more important than this girl. I would think people are pretty equal these days.
Yeah, I mean, like, as women in general, we always need to kind of be pushing for it because it's almost like you could get the spotlight for a second and then you're like, oh, well, is this going to go away? You never really know, like, given the climate of things around the world. So that's interesting. And yeah, I think the point of the blondes was not that we were necessarily trying to push this, like, big female vision forward or big movement or anything. And it was more so that we just allowed ourselves to just simply like exist in the space, like as did our male counterparts for like a long time. We were just said, this is what we're up to. We're just crashing and trying to ski and just going out there and just filming what we're doing and just putting it out there. And that was pretty much what it was. Like we were just existing without apology or really drawing like too much attention to the fact that we were girls, but that did definitely come into effect of like it being interesting to watch was that it was like, oh, these females doing this unapologetically.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really fun to watch, and I'm sure it's inspiring a ton of girls all over the country and world, which is great to see, and it's got to be super cool for you to have a part in that. And that's really the body of our interview. But with every podcast that I do, I have something called Inappropriate Questions, and I get someone that to ask 3 questions, and they can be anything. And this time I was able to get a member of your Blondes crew, Emily Childs. She's going to ask the questions. And while Emily could have been more inappropriate with her question asking, she really ended this one with a banger, which I was very happy about. But are you ready for question number 1 from Emily?
Yeah, let's hear it, Emily.
All right, here we go.
What you got?
Tell us the story of leveling up universes in Japan.
Oh, that is a good story. Okay, are you ready for this story?
I am ready for the story.
Okay, so the 3 of us had just finished filming a segment for MSP in Japan, and we're heading from Sapporo to Tokyo. And we had just visited our friend who is in the hospital in Sapporo, and it was a great visit. And then we just kind of realized we're like, oh, we got to like book tickets and get back to the main island. So that was just a big kind of shit show. We were trying to make it to the airport. Our friend has like all of our gear, like our ski bags and stuff. So we get to the airport. We're like 30 minutes from not being able to get on this plane at all. So we're really cutting it close, like even be able to board. We're grabbing our luggage. We're like trying to find out where the check-in is. We're running around. And then I realized I'm not even on this flight actually. And I didn't even have the ticket booked. So I'm like, oh crap. So I get my gear. I see Emily got her gear and she's like opening up her suitcase for some reason. All her stuff's like strewn all over the place. Our friend Sakuma-san, who like dropped off our stuff, is just this sweet Japanese man, and he's like incredibly stressed for us because he's like, "You're so late, you're gonna miss this flight." We're like, "Oh, we need our stuff," so it's just so stressful. And I just leave Emily behind because I'm like, I gotta get my tickets sorted out. I run to the front. Tanya's there. We're so sweaty. we get checked in. I get a ticket. We go through security, and in the line of security, Emily just like hands me like a mushroom gummy, and she's just like, take this. I was like, okay. So I just like put it in my mouth, like didn't even think of it. Like your best friend just hands you like a pill. You're just like, whatever, you just take it. Doesn't matter. And and so that's in my system now. And we're going through security, and of course they're searching Tanya's bag like every time they search Tanya's bag for some reason. So the minutes are ticking down. They're like looking at like Tanya's like ski gear. They're like, what is this? And her shit's strewn all over the place. So we get that packed up. And finally we get on this plane like against all odds and like extremely sweaty, and it's so chaotic, and we're just like, oh, okay, like we're on this plane now, like this is great. We get into the air, and I don't know if you've ever flown from Sapporo to Tokyo, but it's got to be like one of the most gnarly flight paths in the world because it's like incredibly turbulent with like massive storm cells moving through there all the time. So that's kind of what happened as we got into this big storm cell, and it was probably the most turbulence I've ever experienced on an airplane still. And like people are like clutching the front seats and like praying because this thing is just like shaking so much, and like we can see the snow out the window, and Emily's sitting right behind me, and I'm just looking at her. I was like, oh my God, like, are we gonna die? And like we just had this little conversation of, if we die, like that's fine. Like we're together and like having a really good time, and that's all good. So then we land in Tokyo and get off the plane, and I'm just like, that was an insane flight, you guys. I think we died. I think this is the next universe. We're dead right now, and we don't know, but like our plane for sure crashed, and we're done. So we get into Grand Central Station, Tokyo. It's like biggest train station, one of the bigger ones in the world, and we're just getting on these escalators, trying to get out of the train station, and we get on escalator to escalator to escalator, and we like can't figure out how to exit. And I'm like, oh my God, if we don't find our friends in like the next hour or so, like we're definitely dead. Or I'd be like, if we get onto another escalator, like this is the afterlife. So that was kind of the running joke for like the rest of the evening. Like every twist and turn that happened, we were just like, yeah, like this is the afterlife for sure. So we're kind of convinced that we portaled into another universe, and in like one dimension the plane crashed, and then in the other dimension we live and keep going. So that's kind of our theory now. Anything like near death happens, we're like, oh, we're like portaling into the next universe, and then yeah, we're like, oh, this universe is awesome. Like
that must have been an amazing feeling when you kept going up those escalators being like, maybe that plane really didn't make it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was really trippy. Maybe fed by the mushrooms a little bit. I don't know, but
yeah, they can do that. They can do that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll jump into question number 2.
You started an all-woman ski crew. What are your thoughts on women's moods being affected by the moon?
Oh man, I love this question too.
Well, she came up with good ones that I didn't think were inappropriate, but they're awesome. So let's hear this one.
Yeah, I think women's moods are controlled by the moon a lot of times, like the moon cycle. Yeah, just when we were filming our project, How Did We Get Here, there was just some days that we just couldn't do it. We were exhausted, and we'd been filming for a lot of days in a row. And I remember, yeah, this one specific day, Emily and I, like, things were just going wrong all over the place. We were getting stuck. We, like, lost Tanya for a bit, and, like, then we met up with her, but she was, like, way late to meeting us. But the snow was great, and, like, the light was decent, and everything was on track for us to be able to film. And the only thing that was really getting in our way was just the moon, we decided. Just that full moon, just stopping us from fully getting out there and, yeah, doing our best. So we just kind of gave up that day and blamed the moon. So, you know.
I don't, because I'm a guy, but fair enough. The final inappropriate question is right here.
Does Parker like teeth or no teeth?
I take it Parker is your boyfriend.
Yes. He says I look cute without the teeth, so he stuck around.
Love how you answered that one. That was very good. That is Inappropriate Questions, and that's our podcast. And stories like yours are awesome because it's like you've always had the passion to spend your life skiing, but the park route wasn't going to get you there. And while you were getting into the backcountry, freeride comps weren't going to be getting you there either. So you did what any 15-year-old would do, and you started a ski crew with your best friends, and you put out edits, and all you wanted was free beer. But the way your crew skis and the fun you guys have is evident with almost everything that you do, and the way you presented it to the world, well, that's how you earned your pro skiing stripes. And it's been cool to hear your story, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. It was good talking to you.
So that was time with Janelle Yip, and I will say, I passed over a big injury that Janelle had. It would have been one of those time-consuming conversations that dominates the podcast because there were a lot of details that I could talk about because when you come up short on a road gap, that's interesting to me for all the wrong reasons. But since Janelle has done so much more than injury, I didn't really want to focus on that one. I'm sure there are plenty of other podcasts or articles where you could hear the story of what happened. You don't need to get that from me. I didn't want to focus on that one. What we do focus on is how you can become a pro in untraditional ways. I mean, even if you don't have World Cup or X Games or Freeride World Tour talent, you can still make it to the big leagues. There are so many different paths, and if you have the proverbial balls to go all in on something and kind of say, hey, I'm going to give the next few years of my life to this and go 100% in on something you love, well, good things are usually going to come out of it. And if they don't, well, at least you know you tried and you won't have any regrets, and that's very important. That's the podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reviewing me wherever you listen. And most importantly, please support my incredible sponsors who make the show happen. They are Liquid Force, Elan Skis, Outdoor Research, Stanley, and Best Day Brewing. Have a great week, everyone.